Imagine going to a shop or doing business with someone who fully understood what you were looking for. They understood your concerns, they empathized with your needs, they even knew what question you were going to ask next. You would feel really comfortable doing business with them because you know they spoke your language and they seemed to understand all your issues. And you would see them as an absolute authority. You would put your trust in them, and you'd even recommend them to other people because they knew exactly how to deal with you as a customer. So in Google My Business, is there something that can do that for you? Is there a way in getting that feeling over to your customers and clients so that they feel comfortable, so they recommend you because they know that you understand them? Well, there certainly is. And again, it's something that very few people are using on their Google My Business listing. And that's what we're going to look at in day 9 of this 30-day free challenge. So what are we actually talking about today for Google My Business? We're talking about a section called questions and answers. It appears in most people's knowledge panel, and majority of them actually don't have anything in them at all. It's real estate there waiting to be used. It's those pixels we spoke of yesterday, those $1 million pixels, they're waiting there, no one's using them. And actually, when people do use them, when people do ask questions, quite often, they're not even being answered by the person owning the business. It's bizarre. You've got a customer interested, asks a question, fills it out, and yet no one comes back to them. That's barely customer service. So what we're going to do today is focus on what can we do to use this in the right way. How can we use this to build confidence for your customers going forward? What tips and tricks have we got to make it work for you today? And also, how do you use it? What's its purpose? How can you tie it in with your website as well? Well, for the majority of the knowledge panels and businesses out there, it just says, be the first to ask a question. And most people, then when they ask that first question, nothing happens. So what we're going to do today is work out what types of questions should you be putting here. And I'm also going to just cover the fact that there's a myth that people seem to think that you can't put your own questions in your own business. Now, some people might say, well, that's manipulating it. But actually, Google wants you to do that. Google wants you to think as a business owner, okay, what are my customers constantly asking me? Maybe they're asking, am I open Sundays? Maybe they're asking, do I do takeaways? Do I do a happy hour? And even though you might have that information in the hour section, if you put it as a question and then answer it as well, that will give you some type of signal in Google that you're recognizing the needs of your customers. And when customers see the very questions they're asking, well, they're then going to feel that you understand them, that you've anticipated what they were going to ask. It builds trust. It makes you the expert to turn to. They'll then recommend you as being the business to turn to. So in the video, I often speak about questions to ask yourself today, questions to be honest about. So here's your questions for today. Do you have an FAQ section on your website? How do you put an FAQ section together on your website? Well, just look through your emails, look through what your customers are asking you, think about what was the last question you were asked regarding your business, and make that the start of your FAQ section. All you then do is state the question as simply as you possibly can, and then put the answer down below. And if you do already have an FAQ section on your website, that will then form the basis of your questions and answers on Google My Business. So again, just think about what's the top 3 that people are asking, and then add them to your FAQs and also to your questions and answers. In fact, the 2 can align together. They're pretty much going to be the same. So that's the first thing I want you to do. Now look at your FAQ section on your website and just think, does that align with the questions that are really being asked? So if you know that your questions are being asked by customers all the time on something specific and your FAQ doesn't mention it, well, then you need to change it. So get your FAQ on your website working first. That's the first thing to ask yourself, is it actually working for you? And now be honest, when was the last time you went to see, are your questions and answers being answered on your listing? Now the problem is that most people think their questions and answers should be within the control panel at the back of their Google My Business listing, but it isn't. It's all just purely done on the front end section. It's done where the customers ask the questions. So all you do is you just look up your website, put in your company name. You'll then see the knowledge panel should appear. If it hasn't, you've got some optimization to do. And then just as you come down, you'll see their questions and answers. And just check to see, is there anything that you haven't answered? If there's a question on there you haven't answered, well, then you need to answer it straight away. Now, if you do have questions on there, then the final question to ask is the most relevant question at the top? And the simple way to get that to the top is you need to get more thumbs up on that question and answer than the others. So if, for instance, everything's got 1 thumbs up because you thumbed them up, then you need to ask 1 or 2 others, could they just give that thumbs up in the team? Maybe the people you work with, maybe some relatives. You just need to get some more thumbs up, and over the next few days, you'll then see that that will become the top question. So Google basically is giving rank to the ones that have the most thumbs up. Asking questions is part of learning, isn't it? When you're a child, you ask questions, and that's how you learn. And as you get older, you ask good questions, specific questions that really get to the point. But that's also true when it comes to asking questions in a business. What sets you different to all the other businesses? Well, you might want to raise that through a really good question. In fact, Tony Robbins said regarding questions, successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. So we want to get good questions in there, ones that are real and that are being asked by your customers. So as a word of warning though, just bear in mind that anyone can ask questions, and it may be one that's not a question that you really know the answer to. So again, handle it professionally. And obviously, if it's a question that's not relevant to your business at all, then just make sure other questions get ahead by those thumbs up method. So what else can you do when you answer these questions? Well, make them descriptive, give them some detail, give them some information that's actually going to be helpful. And don't just answer them with a yes or no, but anticipate what their next question would be too. And maybe you can then put them through to a service or talk about something you do in your products or your services that's specifically going to help them to achieve and anticipate what it is they're trying to achieve. What that does, that's good customer service. Go that extra mile. The thing is you're not just doing it to the person that asked the question, but you're doing it for all the other people that are reading that question because it's their question too. So you're giving constant customer service once you write a good question and answer on your Google My Business listing. So let me now give you an example of how you can do it. So I'm going to do one for you or with you. So just imagine here then, we've got LaRue window cleaning services. So to get the knowledge panel up, I just typed in LaRue windows and that then brings up the knowledge panel for me. And if I now come down the page, I just check to see, is there any questions and answers? So you notice here, be the first to ask a question. And you may then ask, well, then what type of question can I ask here? Now, if there were questions, they would exist here. So let me give you an example of how that would look. If I type in my company name, for example, if I come down to questions, see all 10 questions. If I open this up, you'll see here are the questions with various votes and answers to, trying to be as helpful as possible, using keywords where necessary. So that kind of gives you an idea of how that works. Let's just go back to LaRue window cleaning services. And so they haven't got any questions and answers. Be the first to ask a question. So if we click this, and now we've got to think about what type of question would someone ask that was interested in window cleaning services. If you just type in your category, which is window cleaning services, you just notice one of the things you can do in Google is if you come down the page, you'll notice there's a people also ask. And this is a great way to get some inspiration for the types of questions if you haven't been given any feedback at all yet. One of the other ways you can go is you can go to blogs or you can go to areas where people ask questions like Reddit and see what questions people are asking there. Maybe on forums as well is another great place to get questions, maybe if you're on a forum for your business. Look to see what question keeps being asked and put that as your first question. But if you haven't got any of those, then this is another tip then. So people also ask, how much does it cost to clean windows? Is it window cleaning worth it? What does window cleaning include? You might want to open these up and just see what types of answers people are giving. Now, by no means do you want to copy this because that won't do you any benefits in Google, but it will give you some ideas. So you might want to think about how can I package my service and explain what's included in my package. You might want to just speak about what your cost per window is, if that's how you cost things. You notice if you want to get more, you open up one and you get more. So what do professional window cleaners use? Well, that's a question. You might want to say, what products do I use? Do you clean windows or blinds first? That's perhaps more of a person wanting to do it themselves. So some of these won't apply, but if you open up more, you'll get more questions. The idea is it's going to get you thinking as customers are thinking. Some of these will be applicable and many of them won't. So what are you going to actually do today then based on this video? Well, first of all, you're going to make sure you've got an FAQ on your website. So if you haven't, you know that that's something you need to do. If there's a WordPress website, there's a few plugins you can do. Then you want to then align those Q&As and the FAQs together as well. You want them to work together. But before you do that, you may also want to make sure you've got an add contact form on your website. Why? Because you want people to feed back their questions. You want your customers to be able to give you questions, not just via email, but to do it also via a contact form. And then you'll know what the most asked questions are for your business. And in that way, you'll connect through the FAQ and through the questions and answers. You also want to make sure you just know what questions in general people are asking in your environment. So read blogs and see what questions people put on the comments section there. Or go to places like forums where people are asking questions, like Reddit, for example. You want to check your GMB listing. So like we've just done, see if there's any questions on there. And if there is, answer them. And then make sure you've got the right ones to the top by using the thumbs up method. And then also, as we've seen, you can check Google. There's some questions that will be raised there. You might want to then use those as a basis for getting some basic questions up and running. There's also another place you can go to. So here's my free tool of the day. It's Answer the Public. How does that work? Well, let me show you. And you just simply, it's free. You just go into there, type in whatever is the service that you're after. So in this case, it's a window cleaning service. And then I'm going to do search. And what this will do then, it will look through Google and other search engines to see what's the most common questions being asked with those types of products in mind. And the best way to then deal with it is, rather than using this situation here, which is really confusing, if you just click on data. And here's all the questions related to window cleaning services. So some of these will work, not all of them. So how much does a window cleaning service cost is one that we saw on Google. But what you then do is you clarify it by saying, but of course, give me a call and I'll give you a free quote. So you're anticipating the fact that people want to know information, but they don't really expect a full answer without having some type of conversation with you. So just keep it open. But the fact that you're the one who's answering that question will then get you found and particularly relevant in the results. So it's been a really important lesson, helping people to really understand that you can comprehend what their concerns are. You're speaking their language and you're empathizing with what they're worried about. And that will have a big impact. And that will get you fresh new traffic as they tell other people about your business. But tomorrow I'm going to share with you my favorite tool for getting fresh new business through the doors. So I'll see you tomorrow on day 10.